So, before we begin, can I have you state your name that you want to use for this interview, along with your age and your preferred pronouns?
Okay, Daña. And next month I'll be 75. And what else?
Your preferred pronouns? Do you know what that means?
No.
Like how you would like to be referred to by someone else? Like, she went to the park, or he went to the park, or they
Oh, no, she.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
no.
And how would you like to be identified in regards to your sexual orientation and gender identity?
Well, I've always, since I go by Daña as a stage name in the gay community, I just myself, there's no,
You don't like labels?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, the only label I like is my name,
Okay.
which Daña is my name because it's short for Elsie and Daña is short for Saldana,
Okay.
So, besides, I think it sounds better than Elsie.
When and where were you born?
I was born in Riverside, California, 1944. And then when I was about, I think 3 years old, my parents moved here to Fresno. But as I was, as a young girl, my grandmother raised me a few years. I was with my grandmother back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mother was, it seems like she was having one baby one after another. Because my brother next to me were 11 months apart. And then the one 2 years ago, I lost my brother, Ray. He was 11 months apart from Augie. So, and then my other two brothers came along, so. And my sisters came later in life. I was already like 10 years old before my first sister came. So I never really was close to my sisters until the youngest one that just passed away from cancer last year. And so I was raised with 4 boys. So with the 4 boys, even at this age, I had to go with them out after school or before school, out in the fields. Pick grapes or cotton, whatever there was, because my parents didn't have very much. So as I was going to school here in Fresno, and I was going to school in Riverside, I was like back and forth. But when I was about 7, I knew I felt different. I remember very well because she was very pretty, I thought. My teacher, I think it was my first grade teacher. And I liked her. And I would think, of things I would like to do. I started at a very young age. And then as I was growing, going to school, I really wasn't comfortable in dresses or skirts. Because I was raised with 4 boys. So my mother, she always dressed me like them. In the wintertime, we would wear sweatshirts with a cowboy, and jeans and boots, cowboy boots. So I grew up like that. And then when I had to go as I got older, going to grammar school, we couldn't wear, the girls couldn't wear pants or anything like that. So I was always very uncomfortable, and I would cry when I would have to dress up fancy, like right here, And then my grandmother, I was with my grandmother when I'm here, and my grandmother was very fashionable, and she always dressed me nice, and here too. Here I was with my mother. But, my mother and I were not really ever close. It seemed like my dad cared more about me than she did. When I wasn't feeling well, she would make me go to work. My dad would tell her, no, don't, let her stay home. I said, no, she's got to go to work with the boys, so. My mother was very strict. She had an iron hand. And she had me and my brothers scared to death because in her own way, she didn't want us to grow up taking drugs, getting in trouble. And she used to, when I became a teenager, she would threaten me by saying, if you ever get pregnant, you know, I will have nothing to do with you. So I didn't care really because I knew what I wanted. I already had girlfriends, you know. And my brothers, you know, she would make them go to work before or after school. And then as they became teenagers, they had a choice, either go to work or take a sport. And she kept them busy. She kept us all busy so we wouldn't get in trouble. But yeah, when I was very young, it was hard. I had to work, and if I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work, I had to make my bed. And to this day, if I get up at, you know, I have to make that bed, you know. But yeah, it was rough. Then when I became a teenager, I did date, you know, 1 or 2 times, but I wasn't comfortable, you know. And there was one guy, he was Irish, nice looking guy, and he wanted to marry me. And I was having fun with him. We go boating and stuff and his motorcycle and all that. I was having fun. But when they came, he gave me an engagement ring. But when he was pressuring me to get married, I didn't want that. And then he said, I'd like for us to have 4 kids. I did it. So somehow I started an argument with him, took the ring off and threw it at him, and I ran. I literally ran. And he was just stunned. And then he went and asked one of my brothers, what did I do wrong? You know, she got all upset with me and threw the ring at me. What did I do? My brother said, I don't know. I don't know anything. But I was dating girls already too. So when I went to high school, I was already starting dating girls. You know, secretly, of course, because back then, you know, nobody could know. But it was all that time I had to work before school and after school, and plus, you know, help at home. It was rough. Now, when I became 21, I went to my first bar here in Fresno. It was called Fran's, and oh my God. And later became the Red Robin, because Fran's moved to another location off of 99 in Ashland. And I went in there and I saw all these gay people, and I said, oh my God, I'm in heaven, you know, to myself. And I was happy. That's the first time ever my heart felt happy, because I wasn't really happy. And I was kind of a loner, you know, most of the time, so I wasn't really happy until I went to the first gay bar and I found out that they had shows there. And I knew a couple of friends. We went to Central High together, and he's the one that took me to the gay bar. And he told me they did shows, you know, because at home when I was a teenager, when I was by myself, I would put on music, you know, and at that time they call it pantomime, you know, not lip sync, pantomime. So I got a chance to entertain at, actually it was the Red Robin by then. I entertained, and the first ever number I did was La Bamba. And I was a big hit. I liked it. I was happy about that. Like I said, my heart was happy. And there were people there from San Francisco and LA. It was packed. It was very packed. And my knees were shaking because it was my first time entertaining. But once, you know, I noticed that the audience was enjoying it, then I felt better, you know. And so from there on, whenever I had an opportunity to entertain, I did. That's when I started meeting girls, you know, dating and all that. It was fun. But then I met, right there at the Red Robin, I was doing a rehearsal one time because I was doing shows there frequently. This beautiful young Mexican girl came in with my friend, that was her cousin, Joe. Taurus, and her name was Taurus also. So I met her, and I was rehearsing, and she was straight. She was straight, because Joe told me, she's straight, so you don't have a chance. I said, okay. So I was rehearsing. I had my eye on her, and I think she knew, and she was just kind of flirty. So after rehearsal, I went down and I told Joe. I asked Joe. I said, can you introduce us? He said, and that's when he told me she's straight. So I talked to her. She didn't know English because she was from Mexicali. Later on, I gave her the nickname Mexicali Rose. So she met some friends of mine that they liked her, and then we went out. The four of us went out. We asked her if she would like to go out with us because we would go drinking. We'd go into the fig orchards and drink and get drunk. So I kissed her. After we gave her a couple of drinks, and then it just flourished from there. So we had a relationship for 2 years, and she was, I wish to this day I had stayed with her because she really loved me. She didn't have kids, and I hurt her. I hurt her when I met Lisa. When I met Lisa, I was like, I think, 24. And Esperanza was in Mexicali. She had to go back. And her family had a ranch over there. Because I had an uncle that lived down there too that didn't want to go to World War II. So he went to Mexicali and bought a ranch there and everything. And he looked just like John F. Kennedy. Just like him, like twin. Except my uncle had blue eyes. And it was John F. Kennedy that pardoned him 20 years later, at the time that he was president. But anyway, Esperanza had to go. In the meantime, we were communicating back and forth, and I met Lisa. I went to Fran's Pine Lake Lodge, which was over there in Ashland in 99. And the bar was real long, and she was across the bar, and I came in. I was by myself. I was on my way home. And I saw Lisa, and I said, oh my God, she's beautiful, And I bought her a drink, and she went like this to me, And then after a couple of drinks, I went to her, and I said, God, you're beautiful. I said, what's your name? And she said, Lisa. And I said, and we were talking, and then I said, you know what? I would love to give you a kiss, And she says, you would? I said, yeah. So what I understand, I was a little cocky with her. So I said, yeah, come on, let's go to the bathroom. I'll give you a kiss. So the intentions were, we go to the bathroom, I let her kiss her, and then she was going to put her arm around her lip and just go like that and leave. Well, I did kiss her. And she said, wow. She says, give me more. We ended up in the back seat of her Cadillac. So, and no, this is true. And so as we were making out in the back seat of the Cadillac, she asked me, she says, what's your last name? I said, Daña. And she says, that's going to be my name forever. To this day, she has it, But, and I told her, well, I have a girlfriend, I said, I just wanted to have a little fun with you. And she says, I'll get you no matter what, And she asked me, who's your girlfriend? I said, she's a Mexicali, And so we dated, we went out just about every night. We went out. She would take me to dinner and all that. And so, but when I found out she already had 2 kids, and she was living in Fresno. She's from Baltimore, Maryland, but she came to California it wasn't her husband, but a live-in lover, and she had a baby from him. and the baby was only like a couple of months old or so. And she told me her story that she was having problems with him, and she's really gay, And I said, well, why don't you leave him, And she says, I'm going to. But when I met Lisa, I didn't know until she told me later. When I met her friends, and we were in the back seat of her car and we were talking, I asked her, well, why aren't you home? What are you doing here? She says, well, I really like women, and I needed to have a drink, she says, because I have tricks now and then. You know what a trick is?
Prostitution.
Yeah. But at that time, she was a call girl, because she was very she was beautiful. She dressed well. She wasn't just the one from the streets. Okay, she was a call girl. So, and she told me, I need a drink afterwards. She said, I just, sometimes it's hard. And I said, why are you doing that? If you have somebody to support you. And she said, you don't know. She says, he has a hammer over my head, And Russell knew that she was gay, But he was 20 years her senior. See, Lisa was 23, because I'm a year older than she is. And he was in his 40s already. So she was having a difficult time. And so I kept dating her because she was a challenge, a very adventurous, and I never had experienced anything like that. As a matter of fact, one time, she says, oh, my little Mexican came from the grapevine, And I didn't like that, but I didn't say anything. So we got into a relationship. I broke up with Esperanza. She was hurt, but she stayed in Mexicali with her parents. And through the years, I don't know what happened to her, But I know she loved me deeply, and I hurt her. And when I had that relationship, I was insecure and very jealous. And when I felt that maybe she was cheating on me or something, I beat her. I really did. And she took it until she beat me back. It was awful. But it was a beautiful relationship when we got along. And she tried to make me understand, that there was nothing wrong, And when that was the end of that relationship. But with Lisa, as I was dating, like I say, we had been dating like 6 months. And April 1st of 1969, 1969, she moved me into an apartment. She said, I got us an apartment. It's all paid for and everything. Because Lisa had money. So, but I didn't like when she had to go somewhere, and I knew it was a trick. And I said, why are you doing that? You don't need to do that. Get a job. I told her, get a job as a secretary or something. But Lisa was adventurous. She was adventurous, and she's a Sagittarius. They're like that, So we moved in together. Russell was giving us a hard time because he didn't like that she moved out with me. And he threatened me and everything, and we just ignored him. But then I guess like 3 months later, he was originally from New Orleans. So he told Lisa he was moving to New Orleans and he was taking the baby. So she got all upset, and she knew at the time she could not take care of the baby. And at that time, I was important to her too, So she didn't want to lose me. So she let the baby go with, she allowed him to take the baby. And through the year, she went to go visit New Orleans. But in the meantime, Lisa and I, she would support me with the shows. I was entertaining. And we fought a lot. And I put up with her. And I can't say I really loved her at that time. It was just that, I don't know, she had a hold on me. And so she became a strip dancer right there on Belmont. And you know where it goes under? The bridge, right there. She became a stripper. She was working. So a couple of months later, she started getting sick. She was vomiting, and I said, "What's wrong?" It was winter time, because she would go out on me. She would leave me alone, and I would be very upset. I would cry, and she would just go. I think from the beginning she started manipulating me and using me, and I would have my suspicions about her, and she would deny it. She would deny it all the way. But then she started getting sick, and I said, "Well, let's go to the doctor, see what's wrong." So we did, and he came out and told her, "You're pregnant." I looked at her. I wanted to kill her, literally. Because she had been telling me she wasn't doing anything. She lied. She would lie to me all the time. And that would make me so angry that I did beat her, that she started beating me back too. I mean, we had a lot of arguments. With her, it was a lot of arguments, and and we would threaten each other to leave and all that. And I wish I had, but I never did. So when she got pregnant, we went home, and I told her, I says, "I'm leaving. I told you I don't like babies. I don't want babies. I never had babies on my own because I never wanted them, And she begged me not to leave them, because she had no one. She begged me, and I said, "No, I'm leaving. I don't want babies." She got on her knees and begged me not to leave her. She was crying. She was crying big tears. "Don't leave me. I love you. Don't leave me. I'm sorry." Blah blah blah. That's it. So I gave in. I says, "Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll accept this baby if we're gonna stay together. But I'm gonna tell you right now. This was mean of me." I said, "I want it to be a boy. I want you to name him Anthony and give him my last name, and I will baptize him, so if anything ever happens, he stays with me." And she said, "Okay." She said, "Okay, whatever you want." So we were in Fresno, oh gosh, after she got pregnant, about 3 more months. We decided to move to San Jose because there was really no work here in Fresno. And she liked the Bay Area because she used to go there all the time when she was out doing her thing. And she loved San Francisco. So I said, "Yeah, okay, we can move to San Jose. I can get a job there, and maybe you can work a little bit too until you can't anymore." So we moved up there. We got an apartment, and I was fortunate to get a job right away. And then as Lisa got bigger, she couldn't work anymore. So, she went and got a little help through the state, because of the baby. And then she would tell me, "I would like to name the baby Mark, And I said, "Well, what about what I want, And she said, "We'll name him Mark Anthony." And she said, "He'll have your last name, Daña." So Mark was born in Mountain View in September 30th, which tomorrow he would have been 49. And it's sad for us that day because he's gone. But he was born at 3:10 in the afternoon. I was at work. I got a call, and I went to the hospital. And her mother had flown from Baltimore. And it was hard for her to accept our relationship, but she did, because prior to her coming, Lisa told her she had a relationship with me, and that was the first time I met her when she came down. And she was at the hospital, and Mark had been born, and before Lisa had to go to the hospital, she had to put her makeup on, her mother told me. Because I walked in the room, and Lisa was smiling, and I said, why do you have makeup on? She said, I couldn't come to the hospital without makeup. Because she was very vain, because she was very beautiful when she was young. You'll see a picture right now. And she says, it's a boy. When I told her what to name him and all that, and I said, and he better be a Libra like me, because I'm Libra. And that's when she said, okay. So he was born September 30th, and she said, she was so happy, she says, oh my God, she said, I thought he was going to be born in August, but she said, I named him Mark Anthony Saldana, and he's a Libra. I said, yes, he is. So it all worked in her favor. So we were taking care of Mark. Her mother, 3 months later, told us she knew we were having it rough. So she says, why don't you guys come here to Baltimore, and we'll help you out. Because Lisa came from a very well-off family. So we went to Baltimore, we flew over there, and it was all new to me, and I was, I felt alone, but I got a job, and she did too, and her parents helped us. And then I was entertaining quite a bit in San Jose, and before, as she was pregnant and all that. But I was afraid there was no gay bars in Baltimore, and But once Lisa got situated, we started going to the gay bars in Washington, D.C. And that was fun. And then we went to the gay bars. There was one in Baltimore called the Hippopotamus. And at that time, Tom Jones was very popular. And Lisa told me one time, she said, why don't you do Tom Jones? Probably be good at it. So I started rehearsing Tom Jones. And I went to the Hippopotamus. I knew the manager. We knew the manager. His name was Rick. I don't remember his last name. And I asked him, hey, next time you have a show, can I perform? And he says, come to a rehearsal. We're going to have one. And he says, I'll let you know then. I said, okay. So I went to a rehearsal. I did Tom Jones. And he told me, hey, you're good. He says, but you gotta, he says, do some movements like he does, And I tried, and yeah, sure enough. And I entertained. I was regularly entertaining at the Hippopotamus. They loved Tom Jones because he was popular at that time. And women and guys, they would throw Coke pads at me and bras and, and money and all that. It was fun. I had a good time. In the meantime, when Lisa was working, she was messing around, and I kind of suspected it. So we fought a lot, and then we decided to come back to California in 1974. In the meantime, when I was in Baltimore, Maryland, I met the great Charles Pierce. He was a female impersonator. He did Betty Davis and I think Judy Garland too. I'm not sure, but he did But his main thing was Betty Davis. He was very popular, and I think later on he was in a couple of movies. And he saw me entertain at the Hippopotamus because he went there to entertain one time, and he told me he said, oh my God, he said, you do a fantastic Tom Jones. He says, I know another girl in Texas. But he says, you're better than she is. So that made me feel good, it did. And he had given me his number, but maybe I could go to Texas sometime and entertain. But I lost it. I don't know what happened to that, But I got an opportunity to meet him. And we came back to California in 1974. We went back to San Jose. And Mark was already, he was going to be 4 years old. In the meantime, as Mark was growing, he got close to me. He he really loved me. Even as an adult, he respected me. And I was the one that would do this discipline anytime he needed it. Lisa would yell at him. And I would tell her, don't yell at him, talk to him. I would get him on my lap, and I would say, okay, what's wrong, And he would talk to me, and he would cry, and, and his mother wouldn't listen to him. She would yell at him. And I know how he felt, so. I had a taste of motherhood with him. To this day, I grieve for him. Because I loved him as my own. Anyway, we were in San Jose, and we didn't have a car, for a while, so I would take Mark to school in the bus, pick him up. Lisa decided to go to nursing school. She was doing that, but and I was working part-time, so I had more time to be with Mark and all that. So he always looked up to me or ran to me for any problems he had in school or anything like that, because Lisa never had the time. She was studying and all that, and she could have taken time, but she never wanted to, So I really put myself dedicated to Mark, because I grew to love him as my own son. He was a beautiful child. He looked just like Lisa. And Lisa never told me who the father was. As Mark grew up, in between, I was entertaining, working, taking care of all of us, and Lisa was taking care of us too. And as Mark got older, he wanted to know who his father was. And I said, I don't know. You need to ask your mother, And I said, she's the only one that can tell you. And he says, I hate my mother. As he became a young teenager, he said, I hate my mother. She doesn't care about me. I said, no, wait a minute. Because when Lisa was going to school, Lisa was meeting, I don't know how she did it, but she would have affairs with other women, okay? And I'm guilty of that too. I am. But not as much as her, I don't think. And Mark, poor Mark, when we would go to a show, we had to go out, we always had him with the babysitter, and he resented that. And it's just as much my fault than Lisa's that we really didn't give him too much attention like he should have, he should have had. And when he was starting to question who his father was, he became very difficult. We were starting to have problems with him. And he would say, I hate my mother, and I would tell him, no. Never hate your mother. You respect your mother, and you love your mother, because she loves you. In her own way, she loves you. Well, as he grew up, he was getting in trouble. Because when Lisa and I separated, we separated in 1979. Mark was 9, and he took it very hard. And that's when afterwards, that's when he started getting into trouble and doing things, because he was rebelling. Mm-hmm. All he knew was, that I was his parent and she was his mother, and I was, like I said, I was the other parent, but he resented that we split. And through the years, he tried to bring us back together. But Lisa and I, we always stayed in touch from the time we separated because of Mark. I would go up north. I moved back to Visalia when we split up because my mother was living there, and I took it very hard. And then Lisa wasn't in touch with me for a year, and then she started getting in touch again because she was having problems with Mark, and he was missing me. So I would start going to visit what I could up north, and And I would spend time with him. And the time that I would spend with him, Lisa would go out and play. Because I was there, you know. And Mark would tell me, he says, I'd rather move in with you. He says, I'm not happy here, you know. So I said, well, it's up to your mother. In the meantime, I was getting involved in, starting a court, entertaining, because that's always been my passion, you know. When I had that relationship, somehow, some way, I would entertain from time to time. And that's when I was the happiest. But, okay, Mark got in trouble until he was with me until he was 18. And he was 18. I had him from 12 years old to 18. And it was hard on me. It was rough. And I went through a lot with him. And Lisa never sent me $5 for a gallon of milk to help out. She never did. She was too busy playing. She was up north playing with the girls. She was already a nurse. Her career was being a nurse, and she was successful up there. And then she got into teaching later on. But Mark was with me, and he moved back up north, and he moved in with his mother. But then, before he was 18, when I got him at 12, let me backtrack here a little bit, Lisa was having problems with Mark. So she called me up one day and said, she says, you're his godmother. If you don't want him, I'm going to adopt him out. But that was BS, because she knew I would take him. I said, no, bring him over. Send him down here. I'll take care of him for a year, you know, to help you out. And then he goes back to you, you know. I'll discipline him. Well, a year later, a year and a half, because I wouldn't hear from her. I says, it's time for you to take Mark back, you know, because it's hard on me. And she says, I don't want him, you keep him. Man, that was bad. So he was with me until he was 18. And then he was up there, he worked. I don't know what he did, but I would go visit him. I always bought him his school clothes. Nobody else did, not even her. I did. Anyway, when he was 26, Lisa moved to Fresno because she had a rough time. Something terrible happened to her, and it was rough. So I told her, why don't you move down here, you know, and I'll help you out. So she did. Mark came down, but he was getting in trouble. He got into a little drugs. You know, we had problems with him, and he was off to an outreach place, you know, to sober up and all that. And he would tell us, for many years he would tell us, I'm not going to make it to 30. You know, he said, I'm not going to make it. And we would say, oh, Mark, you're going to live a long time. But he was unhappy, and he was always getting in trouble. And then when Lisa was here in Fresno, we were helping Mark out, you know, trying to get him situated and all that, try to straighten out. In 1999, he was in the Tower District, and he was working at some furniture store. I forget the name of it. So afterwards, he went to some friend's house right there in the Tower District, and I guess they had a party, and he overdosed. Accidentally, he overdosed. He fell asleep. He fell asleep, never woke up. It was sad. And I was working when Lisa found out, when the coroner came over to talk to her. And she was trying to locate me because I was working. So I felt something that day. And I happened to see a white, I went to there on Shaw to Ross. I had to get something. And I felt funny. And I saw this, not a pigeon. You ever see a dove? White dove? That dove was looking at me. Do you know these little trees they have in the center? I looked up and because I felt like something was staring at me. I looked up and in this little tree there was this white dove. And then it flew away in the direction where Lisa lived. I said, huh. So I went home. On my answering machine there was a message from my sister. She says, hey sister, why don't you come over? She says, I haven't seen you for a while. She says, I miss you. And this sister and I, we don't get along too good, okay? And I thought that was kind of strange, because Lisa lived behind a mother-in-law house where my sister lived. So I went, and I says, I gotta eat, Leslie, I haven't eaten all day, I'm starving. And I had stopped by at the Chico's and got some spaghetti. And I saw Lisa in the back. I said, how's Lisa doing? She said, oh, she's okay. She said, why don't you go see her? I said, I gotta eat. I was starving. So I ate. Then I said, I'll go see what's up with Lisa and see if she's seen Mark, because I haven't seen him. I went back there. I could tell she had been crying. And she says, I have something to tell you. I said, what is it? No, first I said, where's Mark? Have you seen him? She said, I have something to tell you. Sit down. And I sat down. I said, what's wrong? You been crying? She said, Mark's gone. What do you mean he's gone? He overdosed and he's dead. The coroner came and he needs to be identified, I broke down. I broke down. I cried and cried. And then I start remembering what he would say. I'm not going to make it to 30. He always had that intuition. I remember just now when he was 5, he cut his thumb accidentally I don't know how he cut it, don't remember, but he cried and cried and he says, do something, I'm going to die, And Lisa and I laughed because he was 5 years old and he said, you're not going to die, So Lisa patched it up, And he said, yeah, I'm going to die. And there was a couple of incidents that he would say that. But from the time he was 27, he kept saying, I'm not going to live to 30. See, we all have our time, I believe, but we don't know how we're going to go. And I know that there's people that know when they're going to die. And he was sensitive about that. And we had him cremated, and Lisa has him in her bedroom, And tomorrow's going to be a tough day because he would have been 49 tomorrow. But he loved me. Before he passed away, like a couple of months, he told me, he says, I love you, he says, and I respect you. You've always been good to me, and you're my other parent. And he says, if I had to do it over, I'm sorry I put you through what I put you through. I says, no, it's okay. I says, I do it over again. And he says, and he told me, he says, I worry about my mother. I think she's bipolar, He would say, I worry about her. And he cried. He cried that day. We had gone to Carl's Jr. to have a hamburger, and he was telling me, he says, I'm worried about my mother, Elsie. I don't know, what's going to happen to her. He says, because I'm not going to make it to 30. I said, oh, Mark, don't think that way. I'll tell you what, if it makes you feel better, God forbid, but it's not going to happen. As long as your mother allows it, I'll do my best to take care of her. And when I said that, he went, he felt better. So, sure enough, when he died in October 29th, 1999. He had just turned 29 when he, You know, a month later it passes away. And it was very hard for us. And then, even though Lisa and I, we've argued a lot, and it's like a hate-love relationship, we keep this bond because Mark, you know, and she's always considered me, you know, the other parent too, and she knows I always took care of him. But she'll never admit her wrongdoing. She'll deny everything. Through all the years she has lied to me. Lie. Even to this day she lies. And the only reason I'm with her today is because I made a promise and I keep it. And my heart is broken and I have a hole in my heart because of that woman. I've been through a lot with her, ups and downs, a lot. But yet she's been good to me in many ways too, you know, in her own way. And today we're just companions, and if I could, sometimes I just want to leave. But I won't because I made a promise. And I've been taking care of her. I really have been taking care of her. And it's, you know, life's a bitch sometimes. And I wish what I know now and go back, we all say that, we would change it. You know. And as I was growing up, you know, some elderlies would give me advice, and I didn't take it seriously, but no, I wish I had. Maybe my life would have been different, you know. And if I can go back, and that night that I met Lisa, I would turn around and run. I would. But she's taken care of me when I've had some major surgeries. She's been there for me. And I've told her, I says, you know, sometimes you hate me and I hate you, but if I was to live in another country and I needed you, you know, you'd be there for me. She says, yeah. And I said, I would do the same, you know. And she has an older son that lives in Thailand. And just a couple of months ago, he was here with us for a week with his wife and his new baby. And he told me, he gave me a big hug and said, thank you for taking care of my mother. He says, I don't know how you do it. Because he even has problems with her. You know, they don't get along sometimes. He says, you're like Job, you know, from the Bible. He says, I don't know how you do it. He says, you're a saint. He says, thank you for taking care of my mother. He gave me a tight hug before he left. So, Mark has been gone. You know, we keep living. Lisa and I, one day we moved together again. Let me think. I think we got not back together, but, you know, as companions. Let's see, when was it? Oh, 206. She was living in Fremont. And 206, I was having problems here. I always work in a machine shop. I was a machine operator. Mm-hmm. I retired as that. And there was no work. I got laid off. So I had to get back to work. In the meantime, I didn't want to run out of funds. So I went into house cleaning, and I was pretty successful with that. I was making almost $2,000 a month. Oh. All cash. Anyway, my funds were running out as my unemployment and stuff like that. So Lisa says, well, why don't you come up here and see if you can get a job? She says, I have an extra room, you know. You can pay your share and all that. I said, okay. So I did. Moved to Fremont. Got a real nice job there in a True Tech Corporation. I was making good money. And we were getting along okay, you know. And of course, there were times we had a little argument, but not like before. But then I got laid off because once you reach a certain age, they start laying you off. So they laid me off. I would get unemployment. Then 3 months later, they would call me back. And I was like that until I completely retired. And there was nothing. We were in Fremont. I was in Fremont 10 years, from 2006 until 2017. And because
I'm just gonna get some tissues.
because the rents are so high over there. Everything's expensive. Everything's going up. Now it's ridiculous. So we decided to move back to Fresno because I had family here. I had a brother that was very ill with cancer in the brain. And then my sister, my baby sister that I just lost last year. So we came down. We ended up living in Clovis. We're in Clovis now. And my brother passed away in 2017. And my sister passed away in November of 2018. So, thank you. So, you know, now to, I didn't show you these pictures here. This is Lisa and I in Baltimore, Maryland. This is me. Mark was just a baby. He had just been born. And that's Lisa and I. Here's Lisa and I in Baltimore, Maryland.
Did Mark draw on this?
I think he did. And this is Mark. This is Mark. This is when he was a baby. And this, I think he was 16 there. And see how close and I he were?
Yeah.
A beautiful child, huh? And then this is Lisa and I in Hayward. That was after, and then that's me in one of the shows I did. Now, this one, you're going to be shocked. This one here was in 1972, I think.
Mm.
We met this pilot that worked for United Airlines, and he was from, I think, Kenya, Africa. He was British, though. And his name was Rick Winston. And I think he was bisexual, because he had a little crush on me, but I wasn't interested, you know. And I was with Lisa at the time. Lisa and I were having our relationship. But anyway, we met him in Baltimore, Maryland, at the one of the bars in Washington, D.C.
Mm.
And his favorite drink was Pip's Cup. I think number 1 or number 3, I'm not sure. It's like, I don't know what kind of liquor it is, but I don't remember. Pip's Cup. And we became good friends, he, Lisa, and I. And he was a fun guy.
Mm.
But anyway, I worked for this company, Matkey Vending, and they had a Christmas party.
Mm.
And I had to dress up. And I didn't want to. But I did. This is the only time I was dressed.
It doesn't even look like you.
I know.
Right?
I'm glad. That was the only time. I had a wig on. I had short hair later in life. But yeah.
How strange.
Yeah, huh. But anyway, okay, that part of my life story, I hope you understand it, you know. But in the meantime, you know, there was a lot of bumps through life with that. And I gave up a lot, you know, for Mark. I gave up a lot for Mark. I really, I dedicated myself to him, even though I was doing shows and doing a little bit. But Lisa was the one that was having fun, you know. And she even went to Hawaii with her girlfriend, you know, and she could care less about Mark and I, you know. But that's what happened, you know. So now, her and I split in 1979. I went to Visalia, and I didn't know anybody in Visalia, but then there was this person that I knew, but he knew me at the time that I was entertaining at the Girl of the Golden West in '65, in the late '60s. He had a hamburger joint there in Visalia. So I met some girls, and we hung around and all that, and we party at their house, you know. And then one of them told me, her name was Lydia. She says, "Hey, Elsie, you ever been to the High Chaparral?" I says, "No." "What's that?" You know, she says, "It's a bar. It's in Farmersville, and it's a gay bar. Joe Victorino says he knows you, and he would like to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And he says he has a hamburger joint not too far where you live, a Noble. He says you can go there, and he wants to talk to you." I said, "Well, I don't remember him." I said, "But I'll go." So I did. One day I went after work, and I says, "I'd like to speak to Joe Victorino." And he says, "That's me." He says, "You don't remember me, but I remember you." He says, "You used to put on shows at the Girl of the Golden West." He says, I've got a bar in Farmersville. I just opened up not too long ago, the High Chaparral." He says, "I would like for you to come and entertain." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Farmersville?" Because Farmersville is like the blink of an eye, you know. So I was alone. I didn't have Mark. He was visiting Lisa for a while. So I said, "Okay." I said, "I'd like that." And he told me what day to go over, so I went over there. And the bar was nice. It looked westerny. It was, it was cute. It was nice. It had a nice little stage. And he said, "Would you like to perform?" He says, "To put on a show." He says, "You can bring anybody you want, to entertain." And he had heard about Tiffany Taylor Tate. So he says, "Empress Tiffany just stepped down." And I said, "Yeah, I know him, I says, "I'll get him to, help with the show." So I went and talked to Tiff, and he said, "Sure." And Tiff had just stepped down as Empress, so sure, he likes the limelight, So we put a show together, and we advertised it, and the bar got packed. And I was doing Tom Jones, so it was good. And then I started getting known from Visalia then, because like I said, I didn't know anybody when I first moved there. So I got to know people, and then people from Fresno would come down, because Tiffany would bring people from Fresno for the shows. And then Joe Victorino wanted to start a court, the Imperial Court. He wanted to be Empress. And he says, "Why didn't you become Emperor?" And and we started the Imperial Sequoia Empire. But again, I started, once I got entertaining, I was having turmoil with Joe Victorino, when he became Empress. He just wanted me to be a puppet, just to be there. Like I say, a man's a man, a woman doesn't mean nothing, So, but funny thing, the popularity was coming my way, not his.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And one time we went to a coronation in Santa Rosa, and we were at the hospitality, and there was a swimming pool. And he thought he'd be smart, and he threw me in the pool, clothes and all. And the Empress of Reno, Jackie E., which is very well known, they pulled me out. A couple of Fresno people pulled me out, monarchs, and they said, "You want us to push him in the pool?" I said, "No, I don't want to go down to his level." And everybody just, was very sympathetic with me. They ignored him, And we had a lot of problems during our reign. And at the end, Joe, I think a couple of years later, Joe moved down south.
Mm.
He sold his business, and he moved down south and got involved with a court down there. But before he passed away, I don't know when he passed away, but it was a few years before he passed away, we ran into each other, and he came to me and he says, Elsie, he says, I am so sorry.
Mm.
He says, you're a good person, you know, you're kind and you're generous. He says, I'm sorry, he says, you'll always be my emperor, you know, and I respect you. So I was shocked about that. I didn't expect that from him at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, he apologized. And there were other people that apologized too because they sided with him,
Mm.
but they found out what they would say about me, because some people would say terrible things about me, and it wasn't true. I always treated everybody the way I like to be treated.
Mm.
And my enemies, I treat them with kindness.
Mm.
That's the only way. You know, and when we were involved with the Imperial Court, I always did my best to raise money, you know, for charity.
Mm.
And on my fourth reign, we raised $10,000 just for charity, not counting other things, you know, but just for the charity that we were targeting to, you know. So we had picnics, we had entertainment, we had house parties, and everybody had fun, but it was for a good cause, always for a good cause. And most of the time I would not get the recognition for it, you know.
Mm.
And many times I felt I was being used and abused, you know. But I always wanted to, the reason I would help out that way, because I wanted to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
That was my escape from the bad, from the depression that I had. I had depression, you know. I that was my escape. That was my escape from having bad days with work or with family or whatever. When I was on stage, that was my happiest moment. I had a happy heart. That's the only time I have a happy heart, when I'm on stage. And through the 80s and 90s, early 90s, I was involved with the court. And then I moved to Fremont. I was involved with Bakersfield Court until 1998. And then after that, I just kind of, went into, I just didn't surface for a while, and because I was having personal problems, and financially, so I wasn't around for a few years until just that I moved back from Fremont, 2017, and Tiffany knew I was moving down here, and because of Tiffany, I'm entertaining again.
Mm-hmm.
But San Francisco appreciates me more than Fresno does. I wasn't intending to perform. Taco Marquitos just had a show in September. Did you go?
No, I missed that.
They didn't invite me. They didn't invite me this time. And Tiffany didn't go either. But I told Tiff, as far as I'm concerned, I'm the best right now, except for a couple of queens, I said, because we've heard that the show only lasted 30 minutes and it wasn't good at all. That's what we heard. I don't know if it's true or not. But they didn't invite me this time, and there's they know I'm good. Am I not? Be honest.
You're very good.
Amazing.
Okay.
I only saw you with a Taco Marquitos
Yeah,
show.
I've seen other male impersonators, and you're the best.
Thank you. And San Francisco, they want me back. I just got a text from Mystic Blue. She says, we want you back. And she says, at the Castro next time. Better venue, because the one we went to wasn't that great. I'm glad you didn't go.
I'll go to the Castro one. Damn.
You know, so. But here I feel they know I'm good, but I don't know why. I don't know why I feel that they just. I don't know. I just don't understand. What is it that they want? They rather have. There's some shows that I've been to, that these queens, these drag queens, they don't even know their words.
Yeah.
And they lay on the floor and kick their legs up or whatever. People don't want to see that. You know? I mean, if you're gonna be performing, know your words, have some kind of style, you know, that doesn't offend anybody, you know, and that's fine. Now, there's this lady that I work for. I sent her a picture of the Rhinestone Cowboy.
Mhm.
Did you show Emalee that one?
No, I don't.
Anyway, she's straight, very straight.
Well,
And she has a lot of
doesn't
friends.
Stop you before.
She has a lot of friends, and I showed her, and she says, "You're amazing. You look amazing." She says, "Let me know when you're gonna perform here in Fresno, because I want to go." You know, and I said, "I will." And she has lots of friends, and I know that they'll come. You know.
When was this?
Pardon me?
When was this?
What the Rhinestone Cowboy?
Yeah.
Oh, I performed last Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do it, because when we got back from San Francisco, it took me a couple of days to recoup, and it's getting hard, but I like it.
What would you say is the difference between what you did before, like male, because you're very clear, like you were a male impersonator, you're
Yes.
not a drag king. So could you kind of explain that a little bit? Because for younger generations like Emalee, like it's an interesting thing to learn that distinction.
Okay, well, first, before I explain it, what do you mean by a drag king? I don't understand that, just like you don't understand mine.
So I think, you know, I've seen drag king, and Emalee jump in here for me for younger generations of mostly people who identify as female who then dress up as male, and they then perform music and stuff. A lot of times they're not performing a character necessarily. They kind of have their own, they create their own name and stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
Kind
Okay.
of like drag queens do, where they create their own persona.
And kind
That's
of
what
like,
they do.
and it's a little bit more, for me, how I've seen it, and you can definitely jump in, is like how I see the difference between female impersonators and drag queens. Just knowing Tiffany Taylor Tate, like female impersonators are very much about impersonating women, very classical, beautiful, like women, like and like movies, but
Yeah.
women. Where
Yeah.
drag queens are more like comedy, or much more sort of heightened, like over the top, to the point of over top.
Right, I understand what you're saying, yeah. Well, to me, a female impersonator, to describe it the best, is Jessie. I don't know if you've seen Jessie do Barbara Streisand.
I haven't, but I've seen pictures of Jessie doing Barbara Streisand. Jessie.
You need to watch Jessie perform Barbara Streisand.
And this is Jessie 1 and 4, who
Yeah.
was a founder of the Imperial Dub Court.
Yeah, and he's a female impersonator, okay? He's a female impersonator. Now me, I call myself a male impersonator because when I was doing Tom Jones, you know, I become Tom Jones,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
When I do Julio Iglesias, I become Julio Iglesias. When I did Rhinestone Cowboy, I became Rhinestone Cowboy, you know? And San Francisco notices those things. They were watching my lips.
Yeah, seeing if it's tight, yeah.
I'm down to the right on cue.
Yeah.
They've told me that. They told me. They said, "Oh, you did a wonderful act." They said, "You're right on cue." That's the way it should be. You know, if you're gonna perform up there, you might as well do it right. You know, so that to me, that's a male impersonator. Okay. I'm not trying to be a man. I'm just me. Okay. I'm just me the way I am, and I try, like I say, I'm kind to everybody. I always try to help out, you know, and I do the best I can. But there isn't really male impersonators out there. You know, I've seen, there's one here that does Elvis. She doesn't do a very good Elvis, I'm sorry. You know, she doesn't. And I don't care if it gets back to her, but it's the truth. You know, she doesn't. I really haven't seen any, and I've seen a lot of entertainment in my lifetime. I really haven't really seen a female do a good performance. There's only one here in Fresno. I forget her name. I have pictures of her. She does Michael Jackson. I forget her name. I'll ask Tiff next time I see him. Oh my God, she's the only one. She's the only one.
When you were doing this, and then I'll give the floor back to Emalee about this, but I've always been curious, when you started this, did you experience any opposition from the female impersonators, or did you, or even still, did you ever feel any sort of like opposition in the sense of like competition, or you're stealing my stage, or why are you doing this?
No. They always tell me you're good. They always have told me they're good. The only time I have that problem when I had Daña's lip sync productions, entertainment, and I would take them to San Jose, and they would get paid. Then they would turn around and stab me in the back by going to the owner and say, instead of bringing her, I'll just come. They betrayed me like that. They would not stay faithful to me. When I would be the one that would take them there, okay, they would get paid, you know, besides their tips, because they would make good tips.
So kind of take the contact from you.
That's, and to this day, I feel that way. I feel that the reason they didn't invite me to Taco Marquitos because maybe I felt competition to them. You know, do you know last year I was the only one that had that turned in a wad?
Yeah, of course.
You know,
I gave you money to that, so clearly you did. Like you had the. Yeah. No, I get it.
You know, and I've told Jeff, I fill up the basket. You know, so why is it that they resent me at times? Why?
I don't know.
Because I'm female.
Well,
I'm not a drag queen like they are.
there's sexism.
Yeah, there
You
is.
know this. You know this very well.
Oh yeah.
Working in.
And that's why through the years I haven't really succeeded because, you know, they hold me back. You know, they really do. And I have fought. One time I almost got into a fist fight with a queen. Well, this queen, he's dead because he died of AIDS in the 80s. The bunkhouse in Tulare, there was a gay bar there, and we performed there. And he became an empress there in Visalia. And for some reason, I don't know why he didn't like me, you know. And one time we got into an argument. I don't remember why, but he poked his fingers on my chest like this. He left me black and blue. And I showed the board. We had a board meeting, and he was on the board, and I said, I forget his name. Anyway, I opened up my shirt. Look, I said, look what he did to me, for no reason, you know. And there were many times I had to defend myself. But they can't say really anything bad about me because at the end they start apologizing to me because, you know, like I say, I kill him with kindness. Even though he treated me like that, I was always nice to him afterwards. Kills him. It really does, you know. But it doesn't do any good. It doesn't do any good to go to their level. What for? You know, what for? We should have fun. I found out last Sunday in San Francisco, they're the only ones that really know how to have fun. And they're nice. They're very nice
Shocker.
and generous. Really.
Is that the court in San Francisco?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the original court of all courts,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, I knew the founder. Their nickname was the widow, the Black Widow. No, the widow, and his name was Jose. I forget his last name, Jose. He was the founder. I think he founded it in the early '60s.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did, you know. So, and everybody loved him. He was in that movie with Fu Manchu or something like that.
Oh, yeah. With
What's
the-
his name? Swayze.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. They put her in the movie at the end, you know.
Oh, that's amazing.
So yeah, and San Francisco, I noticed they have fun. They do it right, and they respect you, you know, and they appreciate you. Now I don't understand what breaks my heart here in Fresno. There's a lot of organizations. It's quite a few, but it's all gay political. I call it gay politics. Why does it have to be like that? Why? Why can't we all get along? Support each other. You know, support her organization, support the court, support, you know, the youth. But they don't want to support each other. You know? And what I don't understand, Emalee, please explain it to me.
Okay.
Why is it that your generation wants to go back to the word queer or these other new phrases that you guys come up? Why? The bottom line is, I'm going to tell you, bottom line, we're gay. Everybody is gay. If you're not heterosexual and you're something else, you're gay. Okay? I don't understand.
I think it's
Now, before you say anything, okay. Bottom line, gay. But the women, lesbians. Okay? Whichever, I prefer to be called gay because I hate the word lesbian. Sounds terrible to me. Okay? So I don't understand. The bottom line is like that. To me,
yeah. I think it's a way to reclaim power, like take the word away from abusers, in a way that is affirming and is empowering. Like the N-word. Like, you know, black people use that now because they took it away from white people, so it no longer has power. I think it's kind of the same, well, not the same, but similar.
see, that's the problem. The word power. That's why we don't help each other, because we all want to be powerful, you know. And years ago, when I was growing up in the 60s all the way through the late 70s, you know, we fought for that word to go away, queer, because it's like the N-word, okay? But that's just it. Everybody wants power. That's not good, you know. If we all got along and because we're all equal, you know, and we should help each other, and like us seniors, you know, we're trying to set a good example, you know, and I just don't get it, and it breaks my heart. And the drag queens, you know, when in the 60s and 70s, the drag queens and the lesbians used to get along really fine, and it was fun. It's not like that anymore. It's all political now, and they're taking the fun out of it. They've taken the fun out of it, you know. And I was amazed, like I said last Sunday, I had fun, because it was fun. Yeah, they're gay, they have gay politics over there, but they handle it, and they support each other. They really do. The organizations up there, they support each other. They come together. Here in Fresno, we don't. We're stabbing each other's back. You know? And I don't like that. It shouldn't be like that. You know, we should have fun. And I would like to see the youth have some fun instead of getting, into deep politics with the gay community. Sure, it's good, all well and good. I'm not, knocking it down. If that's your passion, fine. But balance yourself out with some fun. Enjoy your life. Have fun, And that's what it's coming to, that people are taking out the kindness and the fun, and the generosity. It's all becoming just being powerful. And that's not good, So I believe in kindness, and generosity. And like I've told Tiff, him and I get into arguments because I call him a tightwad. I've known him for 40 years, and he's a tightwad, And
I know.
And I tell him, I have empty pockets. I said, you don't. I said, you're privileged. And he says, no, I'm not. I have empty pockets too. I said, no, you don't, And on the road coming back from San Francisco, he says, you always have full pockets. I said, no, I don't. I just know how to manage $1. That's all, And also at the same time, like, if someone has more than the other, they don't see you in the same level that they are. And that's wrong. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Why can't you be kind? Why can't you be well-mannered and respect the one that has nothing? Because we're all, to me, we're all humans. We're equal. So, I get angry sometimes, and I get hurt. But, that's life, I guess. But my full passion to escape from everything is entertaining. And as long as I can do it, I'm going to keep doing it, wherever they allow me to. If I have to just go to San Francisco to do it, I'll do it. But I have more pictures here.
Yeah, Emalee, do you have any, you want to touch on the areas?
So I'm curious if
Yes.
you experience any social rejection from the community because of your ethnicity.
A little. I can't say, a lot, but a little.
Okay.
Yeah. But I try not to let it bother me. What for?
Yeah.
There's a picture I wanted to show you.
So how did you get into male impersonating?
Going back to
This is a good story.
1965, like I said, I went to it was either Franz or Red Robin. I'm going to say Red Robin by then. When I walked in, and I thought I was I was the only gay person in the world, and I saw all these people in there, these gay people, and it was amazing, and I felt, like I said, I felt happy. My heart just lit up, and I felt better that I knew I wasn't the only one. Because back then it was hard. Everybody was in the closet. And it was dangerous too. But one thing I can say, Emalee, through the years, where I've worked, where I've gone, they know I'm gay. I've never had any problems. Matter of fact, with straight men, they have a lot of questions for me. I'll tell you one little incident that happened. I was working for Bostitch Stanley in Visalia as a machine operator. And I got friendly with the guys, and the women there, and I even had an affair with a married woman that worked there. Her name was Edith. I forget her last name.
Par for the course.
But her and her husband had a ranch in Hanford, and she had a son. And we dated for a while, and at lunchtime we go to the car and have lunch, and we talk and everything, and everybody knew, somehow everybody knew we had an affair. And she was willing to leave her husband for me, but I didn't want kids. She had a son. So that time I already had learned run, and I did, But we went out for about I say 6 months or so, until she was getting too serious. Then, But anyway,
Tell Daña's dating device.
learn from me, please. You'll be better off. Anyway, this guy, his name was Robert, and he really loved his wife. And he came up to me, because we were friends, and he says, Elsie, he says, what can I do to improve my relationship with my wife, because we're having problems with sex? And I said, well, what do you do? And then he told me. I said, oh, Robert, that's not the way to do it. I told him, you're too quick. So I told him what to do, and he says, okay, I'll try it. So a few days later, he says, Elsie, I love you. I said, what? He says, my wife her and I are getting along. She loves the sex I'm doing to her. And she asked me, where did you learn this? And he told her the truth. He says, well, there's this gay woman that works where I work, and she told me, because he really loved his wife. He said, I love my wife very much. I don't want to lose her, but we're having problems with sex. And he was up there in his 40s. I was just like 30-something at that time. And he thanked me. So I have men ask me, what do you do? And, they want some advice. So I give them the best I can, But no, I have never had any problems with anyone really that I can say, I think 1 or 2 times I had someone say, oh, she looks like a man, but that doesn't bother me, And Lisa, when we were together, she would try to, change me, like as you can see in this picture, let my hair grow. I didn't like it, Yeah. And she would try to change me, and I would tell her, I can't. That's not me, Excuse me, and I would tell her, I don't have any problems. I don't have a problem. And I said, unless you don't want me to go out with you, I won't. Excuse me. But no, she would, we would go to gay functions together, and she would dress up very beautifully, like right here. That was in Baltimore. That was 1973. Mm-hmm. Did you see that one? Mm. So Lisa was...
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, she was very beautiful when she was young, But...
You're looking handsome in that suit.
Well, thank you. I was doing Tom Jones that night.
Ah, I see.
But with Lisa became she was an alcoholic. She became an alcoholic. That's when we started really having a lot of problems, because her attitude and mentality was different. Mm-hmm. It's different. And to this day, here lately, we've been having some problems, She's depressed because, she can't get any work. She loves teaching. But, once you're so old, they shouldn't discriminate against age, but they do. Mm. So she's home all the time, and I tell her, well, you have a car, go out to the mall and walk or something, But she doesn't want to do it. The only time she'll go out is, if I drive or we go in together somewhere, But it's rough. It's been a tough road for both of us. And like I say, tomorrow we're going to miss Mark very much. Mm-hmm. It's very sad. But through the years we fought. We fought ugly, called each other ugly names. It's like I say, it was a love-hate relationship. But I want to continue to do as much as I can here in Fresno. I told Tiff not too long ago, I said, if I was a few years younger, I would run for emperor. I would like to be emperor, of Fresno. But that's not going to happen, And when I had my Daña's, the carnation dance,
So
I haven't
talk
told you
about-
about that.
Yeah. So let's talk more about your businesses, because that is a whole interesting thing that you
Okay.
did.
Well, when I think it was in the 80s, middle 80s, I started having the carnation dance. It came to me I said, it's always the guys, the drag queens. I said, why can't the women do something? So in Visalia, I started having carnation dance. What I would do, all those that were single would wear a white carnation. The ones that were couple would wear a pink carnation. So, and I explained it in the first dance. If you have a white carnation, you're single. You're open, And I would do good. I mean, I would do good. It was fun. They would dance, and at the end of the dance, when it was time to close up, I would play a Pink Carnation from the 50s. I forget the name of the person that sings it, and everybody would slow dance to that. It was nice, and whenever I could, I would put on a dance. Of course, I had to get a permit and all that, and usually I would have it at the Lamplighter in Visalia, and then later in years, I did one in San Jose. And in San Jose, there was the Landing. In the 70s, there was a Paragon Society. Oh, not the Paragon Society, that was me. The Paragon. There was a place called in San Jose off Alameda Expressway called the Paragon. And it was Frank Zephyr, and I forget his partner's name, but he had a wife and he had a beautiful daughter. Oh my God, she was beautiful. We went to a restaurant one time after the show for breakfast because it was like 2 a.m. And the daughter was sitting across from me and Lisa was next to me. And I told her, I said, God, you're beautiful. I wouldn't mind kissing you. Lisa was too busy talking. Lisa was too busy talking to the next person over her. And she just smiled at me, But anyway, getting back to the Paragon, I went to the owner and I said, hey, can I put on a drag show? And he said it has to be on a Sunday because it was a restaurant. It was fine dining. And he says, you won't get anybody here. I said, yes, I will. I said, I'm going to advertise. And I did. I put out flyers. We go to the parking lots and put a flyer, went to the gay bars and all that. So Sunday came. And it was a restaurant, so people started coming in. And I was charging separate at the door because for the show. And I paid the entertainers. At that time, before I started, Daña's lip sync, this was in the 70s, I was still going by Elsie, So I would pay the entertainers. I'd tell them, I would pick the ones I wanted, and I would tell them, I'll pay you $20 if you entertain, but you got to be there on time and make sure you know your number. And they, oh, sure. So I would have like 6 entertainers. That's enough, And we would pack them in. And Frank, they had the restaurant, so they were selling food, so he was making a profit on Sundays when normally he wouldn't. So anytime I wanted a show, he says, sure, that's fine. I had no problems. And I had the entertainers because they knew they were going to get paid. See, the best way to get entertainment, and if you get the best entertainers and you say you're gonna pay them a few dollars, they're there. They're there on time. They do great. Okay, but I can understand why some of them don't want to entertain because it costs. It costs for the costumes. It's costly. And then. Okay, they don't mind giving to charity, but all the time, you know what I'm saying? All the time. Like if they make tips, they should give just half of the tips and keep the other half. You know? And that's why the same ones come over and over, because they want that limelight and they don't mind, you know. But the best ones, the good ones, they don't want to entertain because it's costly to them. Because they're professional, they're good. My rhinestone outfit, believe it or not, it cost me $300. It was custom made, but it cost me, you know, buying this rhinestone and getting this and the shirt. And the shirt alone was $46, you know, and the pants were $50. I mean, it adds up, you know. But I'm used to losing money, so what the heck, you know. But when I started Daña's Lip Sync Entertainment, that was for profit for me, just like the Pink Carnation. But I ended up with nothing most of the time. You know.
So when did you start that?
I started Daña's Entertainment. I think I started it in. Let's see. The Pink Carnation I first started was in 1986. And then Daña's Entertainment, I started it, I think, in 1991, 92, you know, yeah.
What made you decide to go professional and start that? Because you were performing before, so you like performing, but like, what made you decide to actually then make it a business?
Well, in 1986, because I was getting tired of, you know, not gaining anything from it, you know. And all the queens, I mean, most of the queens that entertain, and they keep their tips, believe it or not, you know. But not me. But, you know, after a while, you know, your pockets keep getting empty. You know, there's a time that you say, hey, this is enough. You know, I'm falling into a hole. And when I was in the court system, I did fall into a hole. Because at the same time, I was taking care of Mark. You know. And it was just very costly, and I was about to give up, but I didn't, you know. I didn't, because somehow, some way, I always managed, you know. And today that I'm older, I just want to have fun, and I want to be able to entertain as long as I can. Okay, so if I can make a little profit, that's even better. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I enjoy it. I really do. I love it.
Can you talk a little bit about the Paragon Society?
Oh, yes, Paragon Society. There was 3 of us, Wesley, Mike, and myself. Wesley was the one that really pushed to open a club, private club. And I was kind of hesitant because Wesley had a drug problem, you know. And Mike said, "Hey, don't worry, you know, we'll keep him intact, you know. We'll check it, we'll watch it." And I said, okay. So we opened up, we were deciding on a name, everybody was, so let's pick a name out. And then I remember the Paragon in San Jose, and Paragon means excellent, you know, and I liked that. So when we had a meeting to form the club, I said, how do you feel about the Paragon Society? Because it's going to be a private club, and it is going to be a society, you know. And we just had a membership, and they said, yeah, that sounds good. So we got this building there in Exeter, and we fixed it up. We put a stage and a sound system that you go upstairs so you can see down on the floor. And as soon as we opened up, it was pretty successful. And we had entertainment from Emalee, strippers. From San Jose, I recruited CQ because I had gone down there and seen her entertain. She's a live singer. Very good. Mostly country and western, but everybody loved her. The lesbians all loved her, you know, so she was good. So she would pack them in. When there was advertisement for her, all the lesbians would come to that show. you know. But as the business was going and picking up a little, we didn't know Wesley was doing drugs and selling it there, you know. And Mike and I were doing all the work. And one time Wesley set off the alarm, and the police called me, you know, like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So, and I lived in Marseille on Exeter's a few miles, so I had to get up and go, you know, meet the officer there. And Wesley would be there. He had set off the alarm, and the officer thought he was drunk, because we were a private club, but we would have beer and wine in there, you know, and the membership would cover that. Plus we would have like hot dogs or something like that. And Wesley was there, and I said, Wesley, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. You know, it's closed. And he said, oh, I'm sorry, I fell asleep. Well, he was doing drugs. So I told the officer, he's okay, you know, I'll take care of it. So he went on his way, and I told Wesley, come on, you gotta go home. So I made sure he got in his truck, and he left. And I had to put the alarm on again and everything, and then I left. But we were having problems with him, and he was taking money. He was taking money, and we couldn't survive, you know. And we didn't want to get in trouble with the law because of drugs. He was bringing in people too that were, you know, selling or doing drugs, and we didn't want that. So it's not good to have a partnership unless you're both solid, you know. And Mike was pretty solid, you know. He was, I put $10,000 into the business, and Michael put in more than I did, and Wesley hardly put anything, and he was robbing us. So we lost all that.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah.
You know. So, you know, it left me really broke.
Yeah.
So we just couldn't go on. But I wish I had done it myself, you know. But, yeah, but it was fun while we had it. The court had a function there. Made a little money off of that. It was nice, you know. And then another one that I started was a Fair of the Heart. I had a function, which I had Hollywood there. I'll show you. It was called a Fair of the Heart, and I got screwed out of that too.
This was a club?
No, it wasn't a club. It was like just an organization
Okay.
to raise money, you know, for different. Where's that picture? Where is the picture of it? Star. Anyway, Ron Krager and Sharon Murray she was a comedian from L.A., from Hollywood, and she was waiting to have to be called to do a comedy on TV, but it didn't go through. You know, they have it rough too. You know. Oh, here it is. Okay. And that's CQ is there at the end with the gold.
Okay.
Now this is Ron Krager. He's a pianist.
Oh.
He's played piano in Hollywood with stars. This is Sharon Murray, a comedian.
Oh, wow.
And that's me.
Oh, my goodness.
And this is CQ.
Oh. Oh, I can see why CQ was popular.
Yeah, she was very popular, you know. But yeah, this was we had this Affair of the Heart. I forget where in Visalia. I think it was the convention center. And we had excellent entertainers, and we raised a lot of money, you know. I forget for what, but it was called Affair of the Heart, which I gave you
Yeah, you have
the
placard for it, right?
No, not the placard, that little program.
Yes.
With the heart?
Yep.
That's it.
I think I have it here.
Yeah. So, did you see this one?
Oh, no.
Yeah, right here. Fair of the Heart.
Yeah.
It was for
This-
HIV, I think.
Yeah, this one right here. And I think my name's in there for producing it or something like that.
Yeah, it says L. Donnie's Entertainment.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. And did I give you the letter that they sent me thanking me for that?
I think so. I think it's also in here.
See, there's
It's like a bunch of stuff in here.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of, and Kat, I have so many pictures and so much. I
What
have
year
a
was
lot.
that?
I don't know who that is, but this was in Modesto.
This was in Modesto.
Yeah. Do you know Modesto Court is no longer in existence?
So yeah, you told us that
Yeah,
at the
Jeff said
meeting.
that. I have a lot of pins. I have a vest, Emily,
Yes.
full
Look
of
at this one.
pins from, oh yeah, right.
That's a good one.
Pins from the different courts.
So talk a bit about the courts,
Yeah.
because that is a thing that particularly younger generations don't know, and then also people kind of out here don't realize how big a thing courts are, particularly in California.
Okay, now I'm gonna tell you something about the courts now
Uh-oh.
that I know of. The court system, when it originated, it was for fundraising, to do charity, and have fun. And like I say, that's gone. Now, it's dying now. It's non-existent because too many other organizations have branched out from that, and they're getting political. Okay, so the Modesto court died. I think the only ones that are really existing is San Diego, LA, and San Francisco,
And IDC here.
and IDC. That's about it, really. Maybe another one or two, but that's it. But the court system was originated, like I said, to have entertainment, fundraising, and the fun. When we used to go to coronations, like say for example, when I went to LA coronation, they have a hospitality room. Okay, they have booze and snacks, you know, beer and wine and all that. And everybody gets acquainted and they, you know, and they talk and they're drinking and having a good time until 2 or 3 o'clock, and then everybody goes to the room to get ready for the coronation. By then everybody's drunk, you know. And back then, you know, the law, it wasn't against the law like the laws weren't strict like they are today. And it was fun. And then everybody looked different and elegant when they were dressed up. There was elegance back then. You know, I mean, they make the movie stars look sick. I'm not kidding, bad. Because they were so beautiful. They dress up with these beautiful costumes and crowns, you know. And they would even walk like if they were royalty, you know. It was amazing. And it was fun. And it seemed like everybody was already sober by that time, you know. They had to do the walk. And the coronations would be packed. They would be packed in, you know. And through the years, you know, it got political, it got backstabbing, so it was going downhill, you know. And I enjoyed it when I was emperor. I had fun, even though I had my ups and downs with the empress.
You were emperor as the
Oh.
RDC?
No, the Imperial Sequoia Empire,
Okay.
you know, which was Tulare and Kings County.
Okay.
And they didn't, I think it went as long as 1998, and then it died because Bakersfield was supposed to take over because we were part of Kern County by then, and they really didn't want it, you know, because a lot of the people down there really don't have, you know, the money to support them to do that. You know, it's difficult. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort, you know, and it's work.
So what do you do as, like, kind of walk us through, like, what do you do as an emperor in the court? Like, if you, from the beginning part where you decide, like, I want to be an emperor.
Okay. When you become emperor or empress, your job is to raise funds locally and go to different coronations to represent your county, your city, okay? And it's just, to me, it's like everybody wants to be just royalty, you know, they're just showing off. but you're representing your county, and when you're in your county, it's up to you to have functions to raise funds, whether it be entertainment, whether it be, having a sale, whatever you can do to raise money for your charity, whatever charity you choose to give for the year, like Pride.
Yeah.
It's an organization. Jeff has to work all year round to raise money to pay for that function.
Right.
Isn't that right? The same thing with the courts.
And how much? And you have to campaign to first be emperor.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
how does that work?
Like running for president.
Yeah, it is.
It's like that. You have to go out and meet, the gay community, go to their whatever little function they have, whatever other organization, go support them and campaign and say, I'm running for emperor, and this is what I would like to do, It's just like running for president, and then you're trying to raise money so you, at the same time, so you can pay your way through other courts. Because the court system has board members, okay? They have a budget. When you're running for emperor or empress, you have to present a budget for the year, And when I first started, Joe and I, we had nothing, okay? We got the community together. Joe knew people, I knew people. We had a meeting, we all brought them in and we told them. And we had a big court at first because it was, and I got some lesbians involved in it because they liked me and they said, yeah, let's do it. And it wasn't easy, and we said, well, we got to raise money, for this. So we started having garage sales. Joe at the bar would have a fundraiser, and they would announce it. It's towards the court, And we just start doing little things and having shows. And then when we start having the shows, we would request the entertainers to turn in their tips, And they did, just as I did too, And that's how we got started. It takes an effort, It takes, you got to have the will to do it. You got to and have the passion. And I did it at first. I had, so much passion. I said, great, we're going to do something good in this community, until it, it started falling apart with backstabbing and jealousy and, and all that, which I hate. I hate that.
So you started the court in Tulare, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Joe Victorino and me. And when I started the court, that's when I became Daña.
Okay.
I didn't want to be going to coronations and say Emperor Elsie. I didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat down one day and I said, what kind of name shall I have for that? And then I wrote my name down, and I said, I'm gonna cut Elsie short to E-L and Daña to D-A-N-A. Daña, and I like that. I have my personal license.
I know.
I saw you the other day behind me.
I did. I took a picture of your car. I was gonna send it to you. Was that your car? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was you.
But that's how Daña got started, and through the gay community, I introduced myself as Daña. Mm-hmm. I hate it when Lisa's with me and we're some function. She's Elsie. I hate it. I tell her I'm Daña. She said, well, you're Elsie to me,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how Daña got started in 1980.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was Elsie,
Mm-hmm. Are you still involved with the court system?
No, I'm not anymore. I would like to be,
Mm-hmm.
but like I say, it's dying. Even here in Fresno, what I hear from Tiff, they're having problems. Oh, I'm mad at Jesse. Why? Okay, so like me, when I was in the court,
Mm-hmm.
there are people I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like at all, but it was the court system. You show respect,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Whether you like me or not, you respect me.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't like you, I'm going to respect you.
Yeah.
And it's better that way in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like, to see Quistry,
Yeah. That's our next goal, is to get with the IDC and start getting that stuff.
Yeah.
That would be the goal.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you.
Hmm.
You said something the other day in the meeting about me entertaining for state. Will you explain that to me a little bit? I forgot my why.
Okay, well, how about we end the interview now,
Okay.
and then, or wait, do you have,
I feel like we're gonna need a second interview.
yeah, so we're doing a second interview with you.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Because,
I was hoping you would,
Yeah.
because I have a lot to say.
Your life is so rich, and you talk for like an hour, like just one question I asked you. So.
Well, yeah, there's a
That's
lot.
amazing.
Well, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And in between, I didn't finish everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure. So we need to do.
There'll be a
another
part
one
2.
Or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, so
And you're gonna keep all these pictures?
well,
Because use your discretion.
yeah, no.